Don't worry, child. You're lonely no more. Coming with me. Welcome back, everybody. It's Rivals Fight Night. We're here for week 10. We've got Avast, we've got ZP, and ZP, give us a good luck kiss, shall we? Just start off the show the right way.
No. We're not doing it. No. You can't do it on demand. It's just
no good luck. Okay, ZP. Well, we do love our European teams. We love our NA teams. You're going to see the best in the world playing on our show here on Rivals Fight Night. Tonight, we're bringing in All Business, aka an EU meme team, versus Qadsiah, one of the well-funded orgs trying to put together a star-studded lineup. What are they all fighting for? A chance to play Virtus Pro, a team who cannot be beaten. Here on Rivals Fight Night, VP is our EU champion. They'll be taking on the challenger at 5:30. After that, Shroud X and Shikigami face off for North America, and FlyQuest, our returning champ, is waiting in the wings. But let's start with our EU teams. Avast, ZP, what do I need to know about All Business?
They got some good names. They got some good names. I mean, I'll tell you that much.
Look, I mean, aside for the logo being on point, All Business, this is a team that wanted to get in for a while because they had a great performance back in MRC. They took down the Royal Beamers, of course, most of that team going on to become Berber Patapim, which has been arguably the #2 team in Europe. And they got a map off Virtus Pro. And really, it's kind of like Hex, our producer, said before going into it. At this point in EU, we want to shuffle around the teams that if you've taken a map off VP, you got potential, we want you in.
If you can take one map off of Virtus Pro, you are good enough to be considered an EU contender. And why not with names like help me out with this one. Slopadopoulos. Thank you. Walk me through the rest of the star-studded lineup of Avast. You seem to know these players quite well.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm not super familiar with them. ZP gave the background for them of how they've taken a map off VP. They had a pretty decent MRC. Obviously, there's been some matches that have been covered, some that haven't. It's also happened a while ago now at this point, so not super updated in terms of their overall performance and where they're at currently, but we know we've been wanting to get them in for a while. I think overall, the highlight for me is just the names. Slopadopoulos, Toot, Welshmania, but definitely a roster that, based off past performance, hopefully still should put up a pretty good fight here in our EU Fight Night.
ZP, what are you more excited to say in your broadcast? Toot or Slopadopoulos in the middle of a team fight?
It's going to be Slopadopoulos because you get the option select where you can either go Slopo when you want to be for short, but if you want to put real respect on the name, you'd be like, and that's why it's called Slopadopoulos after taking out like 3 or 4 people. So for me, I get a lot of flexibility with the Slopadopoulos name.
All right, that is a look at All Business. Emma Frost in the mix. She's my main. I love to see her in the game. No one bans her because she's not too scary. Are either of these teammates going to be scary? I'm looking at our duelist. Wolverine had an impact a little bit. He was taking torch out of the sky. Avast, will we see him in action today?
It depends on how they want to play, right? But I think overall Wolverine, we've seen a lot of Wolverine played still, or at least a decent amount. Always still there's no one else that really fits the lineup like Wolverine still in terms of like busting through vanguards. So as a duelist, they have a very particular place in a composition. So I would not be shocked to see Helis potentially play some more Wolverine for this team. But definitely right now with the strength of Human Torch, it might be a little unlikely unless teams, feel like playing a little bit more of that split style.
I'm taking a look here at Tilt, potentially running some Hela, Helis, Malukai, Lindstrom. What should I know about the supporting line here, ZP? Are you familiar with the squad?
I mean, Qadsiah, they did look pretty good the last time they were here. They ended up losing the Berber Patapim, but it was kind of one of those things where it's not that Qadsiah looked bad. I mean, their backline and strategist play coming in from players like Lindstrom actually looked pretty good. It was just Berber Patapim was on another level, and that was also the week where Berber Patapim came in and instantly ripped a map off VP. So it was like Berber Patapim in top form, but because Qadsiah looks so promising, we're just like, okay, we need to give these guys like a run back a little bit later and see how it pans out.
I just timed out Hex, our producer, in the chat because he used the word insensitive. We don't use that here. Let it rip, chat.
Good.
Let's get weird tonight. Avast, ZP, this is our 10th episode. I'm excited. We've got some new squads, some new fire, some new blood. And of course, a returning EU champion who teaches us how to actually play the meta for the week. Avast, though, in this starter matchup, it's a challenger showdown. We have domination to kick things off. What are you looking forward to? Have you been gaming a lot?
I mean, I have been gaming a bit, either some Marvel Rivals off stream or just some random, as I call it, indie slop on stream. So realistically, it's a very varied amount of plays. And also, Darth Boogie thank you for the 10 gifted as well. The gifts obviously go directly towards us, and we give nothing else to any of the observers or producers. You know,
we don't feed anybody.
No, we feed only ourselves, like greedy barons. No, actually, everyone does get a cut here. That's one of the great part for Rivals Fight Night. But I think we're all just playing a little bit of everything along with some Marvel Rivals. What about yourself, Puckett, huh? What have you been gaming?
I played Emma Frost till about 2 a.m. and then I got through 4 games of Hulk in a row. And I don't know if there's more dopamine than playing Hulk with a Namor on your team right now. We're going to get into that in a little bit. Right now, though, we have our first map ready. It is Hell's Heaven. ZP, what do you want to see tonight? I have a feeling Torch might get a band a little bit more than we did last week in week 9.
Yeah, I mean, Torch has kind of hit the, I would argue, almost greater than Hella status on teams either having a really good Torch player and they're going to play it, or they don't like the Torch game and they're going to ban it. It is kind of the priority DPS that we've been seeing here in Season 2. But for me, overall, what I want to see tonight, I don't care which of these 2 teams gets through our Challenger match and gets into the money match, but I want to make sure whichever team gets through gives VP a good fight. I don't necessarily want to see VP lose, but I want to see VP get taken to the limit, and I'm hoping that today will be the day for that.
Thank you again, Darth Boogie. I think 10 gifted is the largest single dono we have hit. 10 weeks, 10 gifted, it fits. Matt Mr. Rex, is that a Overwatch caster spotting? What is going on? Just kidding. Matt's going to join us on the show. He's been part of the MRC and one of the best in the game. Here we go, though. Game number 1 is loading up, and Psylocke is the first ban of the night. ZP, any surprises to see it's Psylocke and Hella, some duelists going out early?
No, not at all. And I mean, this just comes down to Duel's personality. If you feel like these characters will dictate the pace of the game and you don't have a good player on it, or at the very least you think you're going to lose that matchup, you just get rid of them. It's just really important to try and play to your strengths. But in return right now, we got the Cap gang protected on the Qadsiah side. I wonder if this means a Jeff protect will be in the wings if Jeff doesn't get banned by all business here and now.
All right, I saw a note here from a lame shark in chat and a large shark. They both love this show. One of them, though, is sluggish. Did you know, if you are struggling to watch us on Twitch, we're also live on YouTube, on Twitter. You can go to my personal Twitter, MLG Puckett, and watch it there. We are all over the internet, so you don't have just one place to watch it, but there is one place to find out the bans, and that is coming from a vast mouth. Tell me about Iron Man Wolverine. I'm so confused right now.
Well, Iron Man, I mean, so the protect on Captain America makes sense, like maybe potentially force a dive comp for Qadsiah. Iron Man being banned shows that maybe they don't want to play against a lot of flyers, especially with Hella being banned here, right? So they protected the Torch. Iron Man's protected, so they want to reduce as many flyers as possible, right? Star-Lord's still in the wings, but obviously some nerfs to come out. Adam Warlock typically been auto-banned. It might not here, so there's still a chance that you can see that composition, but overall definitely trying to reduce the flyers for Qadsiah right now. Get less planes in the air. And all business, I mean, wouldn't be surprised to see just like, it seems like ZP maybe a standard like double Vanguard setup with like a Groot Magneto potentially with Groot being protected.
Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't surprise me, although I will say for all business, they shouldn't be planning on Groot in the long term, because we know, should they get through Qadsiah and get into the money match, VP is going to ban Groot first. They've done it every time for like the last 2 months now, so, you know, this is a strategy that will only be effective in this particular matchup.
He's opened up a cold one? He's opened up a cold one right now on the broadcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the sound of Celsius, the brand new sponsor.
That's not true. That's not true. Hex, business managers, ref, stop.
You gotta manifest. You gotta manifest the reality you want to live in, Avast. All right, let's take a look as our teams are getting locked in for game number 1. We have a feeling that there's not going to be a whole lot of Jeff shenanigans. There is going to be some Torchy shenanigans. You saved Luna to I guess keep Torch healthy in the air. What's the thought process here, ZP? I'm not understanding what these teams are trying to accomplish in domination.
I think when it comes to strategist setups, you want to make sure you have at least one strategist that you are good at playing around. And for a lot of teams, it's either protecting the Loki or the Luna, or at times, you know, trying to angle in the both. You know, it just gives you way more sustainability in the team fight. But also, yes, if you're like planning on running Torch yourself, Luna can be great at just giving extra survivability to the Torch on top of running Invisible Woman if you're within there. It just, you know, it depends how much you want to play around it.
I just want to give a shout out to all the Europeans who are staying up late to watch this broadcast. Also on behalf of Chicago, what's up? We got an American Pope.
That's right. Catholics in chat represent. Catholics in chat represent. Well, ZP, I mean, we've arrived here, and also something I think that's an interesting note here for the Luna Snow. Like all the points that you put out there, really good. Also with Luna Snow's the change to her fall off damage, right? She does less fall off damage now. Still pretty good at dealing with flyers as well, and keeping her overall power pretty strong.
All right, so we'll see how this one pans out. Interesting enough, though, in terms of Vanguard v. Vanguard, we got a Hulk on one side, Toot Toot, being here for all business. Kaya on the other side with Captain America, so already a little bit different in strategy. But you know it's not different here, Vast. Torch versus Torch.
The duels happening a bit early there. Both Torches are going to be playing the corners, looking for the poke. A lot of early damage here into Welsh Mania, trying to get them off the point here for Qadsiah. Trying to get someone off. But it seems like they're not going to be able to get anyone out that point early, but they are getting the picks.
Yeah, the quick burn down onto Hulk, and just like that, everything just explodes in favor of Qadsiah. Quick point take going to be coming here, and to me, again, I just focus on the Vanguard matchup here. You got Hulk Emma versus Groot Cap, and how do you think this is impacting things where things are concerned as far as composition goes?
I mean, here, when you look at like the Hulk, the Emma, especially because you're using that Namor team up, right? When you're going to have the Hulk just getting some value there from the Gamma Squids. And I think with Hulk, with some of the buffs that have come through, he's just an overall strong Vanguard round to set up initiations. I think for all business, you look at this Vanguard line, and they really want to take aggressive fights. The problem here is that they're not great into the poke, so they can't lose a lot of health early.
Interesting enough, too, this is one of the first times we've actually seen Hulk Namor be actually playable. Usually one of the two gets banned, so let's see if Sloppo can make the Namor work. All business right now. Poking in from the outside, looking for a way in. Qadsiah still in control of the point. They get the isolation, though. Welsh Mania gonna go down early. Qadsiah able to find it, courtesy of Milk Boy and the wall. And, you lose one relatively cleanly here. And Qadsiah, they're not really pressured at all.
Yeah, I mean, continuing to stay in this fight is honestly relatively interesting here for all business. They're getting some ults out of Qadsiah now, so now they can just like back on up, play around the invisible boundary. So this is still a great trade for Qadsiah here, who are just trading ults and still have control of the point.
Horn coming on out. Horn does not get anything in the back. Sloppo was looking for something. Meanwhile, Qadsiah gonna use Fate of Both Worlds. All business desperately trying to flip the point here now. 70% against them. Here comes Tilt, though. Up into the air for Qadsiah. Galactic Legend pinning down 2 immediately. That is a clean sweep. Big Star-Lord plays coming out from Qadsiah, and the round already may be over. All business, a long way to go.
Yeah, I mean, all business. Unfortunately, the store's closing down. Marvel Rivals store closing down on the main street. They're not getting any business anymore because they're 90%. They're gonna have to have a last second recontest. Toot Toot close to their first Hulk ult here to hopefully get some extra value, stay alive a bit longer. They already used the indestructible guard. 2Z down. I mean, who's gonna touch? Okay, they have the portal. Touch is up now, but I mean, this is gonna be a slow loss, CP.
Well, they're gonna try and make something happen, but they're already down 3. And Hulk is not going to be able to delay for that much longer. Toot Toot again pulled out, taken out, and that is a clean 100-0 for Qadsiah, who definitely looks refreshed and reinvigorated from a few weeks ago.
Dude, they're planting fences on your side of the portal. That is a disrespectful opening.
Yeah, I mean, this is just not... it wasn't a great look, and I think that was when we look at the Vanguard line in particular. There's ZP, we talked about it earlier, like, okay, what's the difference here? They just were losing Welsh Mania on point really early. Toot Toot was getting pressured out pretty early. They weren't getting any engages. Like, if you're going to play kind of a slower comp, your Vanguards can't be getting caught early, right? And it's kind of the issue because they don't have the walls that like a Groot has. They don't have the bulwarks that a Magneto does. So just kind of the problem there with their composition is that they're not incredibly good at just sitting there taking incredible amounts of Human Torch damage, especially with the buffs that have come out.
ZP, I have a great question from the chat.
All right.
If the Pope was a Marvel Rivals character,
who would the Pope be?
Jeff the Land Shark, right? If not,
no, it should be Adam Warlock. It should be Adam Warlock. It's got the whole like resurrection thing going.
This is holy water, able to disappear, pop up whenever he wants.
Honestly, I'm sure whatever heresy, we're going to say here, the new Pope will forgive us. Whatever heresy, put us in a land center at the Vatican City, and we'll all make good.
Oh, well, that'd be the Pope investing in esports. Who knows? But either way, we're going to get into it. Second round here, all business. Looking to turn things around, bring out a Groot of their own. Big change up here, no Namor in sight. It's going to be Groot versus Groot here on the point. 2Z.
But notice, do you see that? Sloppo on the Iron Fist here. So we're getting a little Sloppodopolis fist action.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much, his name right now in game is just Sloppo. It's not even Sloppodopolis.
It is Sloppo, yeah.
Just to be clear, even though in the origin is Sloppodopolis, also origin of this fight, 2 quick pickoffs for Qadsiah again, as Helis is able to hit pay dirt with the Supernovas. So once more, the roster may be changed up, but the result is the same here, Vest.
Yeah, I mean, there's also just an issue with just the ult carryover. As I'm hearing some banging taking place.
Was that a or ZP heart attack?
that was an air duster getting knocked over as I was adjusting my microphone arm, if you must know.
I was like, oh, he fell down the stairs again. I can't believe it. But already the strength isn't invested. Qadsiah, they don't want to let them out, but instead, All Business getting the pick.
Yeah, I mean, first early opening pick here for All Business of the map. We get Slapo into the back line right now, looking for a little bit more. Invisible Woman, the target, gonna finish off the 8 of Welsh Mania. So Qadsiah, for the first time on the back foot, All Business, 3 pickoffs here so far, gonna get their first control of the map. And now the question is, are they gonna be able to hold on to it?
Yeah, not too big in terms of the deficit here. Only 44%, so pretty decent for All Business. I mean, just being able to survive to counter that Strangling Prison there that comes up from Milk Boy. Qadsiah, though, probably still relatively happy with the result because they got out of Strategist ult. They're able to get several of those out of All Business. But this is where they should hold aggressively on the high ground to try to set up the Living Chi potentially here for Slapo, maybe get into the back line. But Kaya on the flank, gonna be on the Strategist.
Yeah, I mean, you got the Cap America, or cap pressure into the back. It's gonna force out Strategist ult. Meanwhile, though, you got the Strangling Prison in from 2-2, setting the way for All Business. The fall through is there, 2 immediately down. So the flank and ult usage from All Business a little bit more on point as Slapo comes in for the cleanup.
And this is actually what you want to see for All Business here, is holding these chokes aggressively. Slapo, 5 HP! Oh my. Late pick there onto Lindstrom's going to reset off the map, and didn't have to invest too much. Outside, you know, Visible Boundary, Strengthened Prison, great, but you farm some other ults out of that, equalize the time banks here, and now Qadsiah, they're coming in, they know they don't have to worry about the Strengthened Prison, so hard to deal with on the chokes. And for All Business, the goal here, once again, is, okay, can we force out multiple ults? Can we make this fight expensive? And most importantly, maybe get some pressure on the strategist. Well, not if you lose the 2-2.
They need to live until they got Luna ult up. They weren't able to do it. And Qadsiah's still gonna pop it and try and make the most of it, but you're down 1. You've lost your Groot, so you're playing behind right now. The upside is that the Luna ult, it's gonna delay most of Galactic Legend from getting anything done right now. Supernova gonna be used here, and Qadsiah completely cleaning up in the aftermath. Just, it's too rough to start the fight down 1, but overall, you look at the progress on the point, they're gonna delay a little bit longer, end here at around like 80%. Still pretty winnable for All Business.
Yeah, this is exactly what they wanted, honestly. Outside of just a direct win, is they got rid of the strategy ults, they got rid of the Strengthening Prison. Now that they walk again, they're soon gonna have the Psionic Seduction. They're gonna have an Invisible Boundary of their own. So this is a pretty decent fight to run into. I mean, sure, Kaya's gonna hold on to the Captain America ult here, get some of that extra health regen, but it should be fine, or rather the bonus health. So it should be fine for All Business as long as they can set up a good Psionic Seduction.
Look, it could be Puckett's play of the game coming up here. Welsh Mania is able to land a great Psionic Seduction. You got to look for the Emma play in this moment. The window of opportunity is coming on up. The Invisible Boundary up at the same time. Kaya gonna go to the back, drop the cap ult. Meanwhile, looking at Welsh Mania, Psionic Seduction gonna be dropped here. Is there gonna be a fall through? You got the torch. He likes what you're selling, but the fall through is not gonna be there. Helis able to get away. So the pickoff that was almost to be, not to be, still 6-on-6 here on the point. Fate of Both Worlds gonna be dropped here by Qadsiah. All Business getting pushed back. No strategist ult usable. In response, they lose 2-2 before the prison comes in. And this looks like Qadsiah may hold on and take map 1.
We call that the all tickle, no bite, CP, just for the record.
The all tickle, no bite. I mean, now All Business are still staying in it. Close are gonna have the Fate of Both Worlds. They have some options to get some damage out there, forcing out the Invisible Boundary there from Maluki. So maybe in this post-fight, 2-2 can combat, hit the Strangling Prison. They just need to find one. They need to find anything.
Unfortunately, Milk Boy came in, landed a Strangling Prison of his own. However, the fall through is there for All Business. They're able to get down 2, make it at least a little more competitive, but All Business down way more on the point. Helis, again, good cleanup into the back. Ends up dying to Qadsiah, but it's not going to be enough. Qadsiah finishes off strong here on map 1, but, you know, we did see signs of life from All Business after they changed things up.
Yeah, I mean, All Business, they need to swap the Vanguard line, I think, a little bit earlier there in the first round. And definitely just some good contests coming on. I like the tempo for them, but just unfortunately not able to keep Toot alive in that last fight. And that's what it came down to when you're trading those ults, is that you need to be able to keep that Vanguard alive, keep the Strangling Prison up. And they just couldn't do it. The Focus Fire was so good there from Qadsiah. So well played from Qadsiah. Looking strong as always. They were pretty good last week, so I imagine they're going to keep that performance going into this week.
Looking in here, though, honestly, you know, for Qadsiah, I'm just curious what their ceiling is, because again, I think back to the last week we had them in where they lost to Burr, and everything about that to me was not, oh man, Qadsiah is playing bad. A lot of it was just, yo, Burr was just on a different level. So to me, when I look at this Vest, I see a team that, you know, we have to see how it pans out. But the idea of them contesting VP, should they get through this match, not unrealistic to me.
Can we look at those stats again? I just want you guys to compare the Vanguards because one team had way more fun than the other. Basically double the damage for both of them. Half of the damage received, it was bully ball for Qadsiah in the opening round, but now we're going to map choice for all business. Avast, was this simply like a comp issue? A staggering issue? How do you get beat up that bad?
I mean, the stats are, I think, mostly from the first round there of Hell's Heaven, where they just kind of got farmed on the first point, and they were playing the Hulk, Emma Frost, and they just couldn't do anything about the poke. They weren't able to engage. They were losing like Welsh Mania or maybe even 2-2 a little early. And so I just don't think, I think that's the majority of the problem there when you look at the stats wise. Because second round, relatively close. You know, that was a pretty close round. It wasn't by any means a stomp. So I do think that was a comp issue mostly when you look at the stats and how they carried over for the rest of the series or for the map.
Big shout out to Mike Rach 10, who is in the chat, reminding me to ask. I wanted to interrupt, but ZP, I went to the chat and I said, remind me of this during the break instead. What is the stair lore that Avast was talking about? We heard all this, and he said, "Oh, I thought that was the stairs again." So what went down?
So what it came down is that we went to an event.
You can full screen on ZP if you want here, production. Story time.
It was the Houston Outlaws homestand to kick off an OWL season, and me and Avast were casting that. And what ended up happening was that I wore new shoes, the stairs were slippery, and I fractured my foot walking down the stairs, except people didn't really believe that you could just fracture your foot walking down the stairs. So the story just evolved into Avast mercilessly throwing me down the stairs and trying to kill me at a live event.
True or false? You were momentarily blinded by your stair fall.
I was. It was actually like adrenaline is ridiculous because I actually did break a bone there. So, you know, body does what it's going to do.
He's back, ladies and gentlemen, and he's still able to cast. Let's take a look at these numbers one more time. Shout out to production. You guys are the best. All right, so Milk Boy looked like he was having the most fun, right? You're soaking up 32,000 damage while you're dishing out 15. Meanwhile, Helis didn't even really get looked at. And then if you look at his damage compared to Tilt's, the guys in the sky might as well just stay up there.
Yeah,
Avast, is that the move moving forward? Just stick with this comp, or can the Iron Fist from Slop eventually shut it down?
I think it's something that ZP pointed out earlier. It's just like some teams are going to be really, really good at flyer comps because that's kind of the current trajectory of the meta, especially with how strong Human Torch is currently, especially when you add in the team ups with Invisible Woman. I think that's going to be the angle of it. You either play flyers or you try to find something else that works for you, maybe like a Wolverine composition, something like that. And right now, it looks like Qadsiah definitely, in comparison to All Business, looks a little bit more comfortable on the flyer comps. But once again, I have to go out to like, just look at this first round. It was like a complete shutout. They were just getting totally farmed. So you look at the stats, and I think that was just pretty much a consequence of how bad the first round was for All Business. Because the second round, a lot better.
I would also argue a little bit that I think when you're running the Namor comp, you're really banking on getting first control of the point because that's where Namor is like way more annoying to deal with when he's set up with like good squid locations. Actually retaking the point, not anywhere near as good. I think they just stuck on it way too long.
Got it. Also talking with Finzi in the chat during this game, I was wondering, why was Psylocke the first character banned? Well, it was Qadsiah who had the opportunity to ban first. They got rid of the Psylocke, and that was a respect ban, I'm told, because 2Z is a monster in the EU on that character. If she gets through in a future game, definitely the POV I want to see. Avast, speaking of, we're going to Central Park. Is Psylocke good here on this map? I feel like there's a lot of verticality. It's Flyer 7.
I mean, Psylocke's honestly a pretty decent pick overall right now in the current meta, especially when you're playing like maybe even some more dive-centric comps. She's like also with Hela getting banned a lot. She's one of the few like heroes that can kind of consistently contest flyers to a degree. So I do think that in Central Park, there's a lot of room to move around. We've seen a lot of Psylocke be played already. We could definitely see Psylocke get played, but if Finzi is out here saying respect ban, they don't want to let it through, it's pretty unlikely we're going to see Psylocke come through.
All right, so it may be the Groot in this series, just insta-ban before he even gets an opportunity to play. On the other side, ZP, if I'm All Business, is there a character I'm making sure does not make it into the game 2 for Central Park?
I mean, truthfully, I think the main thing they have to look within here and maybe don't stick with the Hulk comp as long as they did. I think they looked very competitive when not on the Hulk comp, or at the very least, don't run it when you're on attack. I think to me, it was more so a comp issue rather than a mechanical outplay issue within here. I think they went for something that just didn't work, and don't do that again.
Just switch it up. New comp. All right, let's get into it. There you can see the bans from map number 1. Thanks to our fantastic producer Solomon and our graphics designers. If you want to see them eat, feel free to drop your Amazon Prime. It costs you nothing. You're already getting free delivery. Why not feed our staff? Here we see the torch is protected after the Heliban. To the sky is the plan for all business. On the other side, Captain America is protected back to back. It's looking pretty similar to me, Avast.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking, in fact, one could say identical so
Yes.
far.
5 for 5.
So I do think this is going to be just like, let's get rid of, and I would, okay, group ban. So that is a little bit different, which honestly I kind of respect because it feels like all business maybe getting a little out-rooted there a little bit, as Uber would say, the rooted and booted. So I do think that this was a potentially a good ban for them where maybe it gets them out of the play. They can play something that's more in their field of comfort and get Qadsiah, most importantly, Milkboy, off the Groot.
Did anyone out there in the chat know that rooted and booted in certain countries refers to sowing seed? I did not. As we take a look here, you are going to see Winter Soldier, aka the new look Bucky from the Thunderbolts, in the mix on the other side. Once again, Luna Snow being protected. So, Qadsiah looking pretty comfortable with ZP, I guess. No need to get weird. They're going to get rid of the Namor last second.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're pretty comfortable. They don't want to deal with them more, especially going on attack where all business is going to get guaranteed defense. However, for all business, they're probably taking out the Jeff, and they are. Not a good day for lovers of the land shark. But look, it comes down to it. The other team is protecting Cap. You know that they could potentially have a Jeff to back it up, and no one wants to deal with that level of annoyance in their backline. Just the Cap is enough.
Do we have the ability to go full screen on me at all, Solomon, before we get into this game? Because I don't know if you guys can see, but my set is always evolving as I am unpacking boxes in this basement. And I unboxed arguably the greatest asset in esports history today.
There it is. Oh, that is
Ladies
that one's
and
rare.
Gentlemen, it is pristine. It is going tonight. $9.99 MLG Puck on Cash App. I'll see you in a moment. Game 2 loading up now.
You know, your hero was actually just so much better back then. Just
that's so cheap
hair.
Though. $9.99.
Just under 1,000 to be clear.
Oh, okay. $999.
You're worth big bucks in that blue shirt.
I thought it was like $10.
I mean, you were really just making Connor just question his self-worth for a bit there. Just like, man,
I was upset. I will say my hair was definitely not better back then, though. It was definitely not better. It was tragedy.
You look like you kind of traveled around in Squirrel Girl's pockets.
Yeah, I could believe that. I could definitely believe that as I was a little sidekick there, saying like some quips.
Makes sense to me. Also, what we're seeing right now, comp-wise, also makes sense to me here. But the swap-up is interesting here with Sloppo now onto the Winter Soldier. They were able to protect it. Toot on Magneto. So, I mean, all business making some pretty significant changes here at Vast.
Yeah, I mean, this definitely feels like maybe they're going to be more comfortable on it, and they don't want to have to deal with the Groot, especially because Groot, if you have a really good Groot player, this first point, attacking this first point, defending it, just Central Park in general, very, very strong for Groot. So all business playing the angles right now, looking to set up the poke. Tuzi just trying to keep the pressure here onto the backline, doing a lot of damage. Unfortunately, gonna miss the meteor hit just a little bit. The meteor, in fact, not going off, but the pressure pretty good so far from Tuzi.
Yeah, Qadsiah right now trying to make their way in, but Welsh Mania taking down Milkboy on the other side, opening the floodgates for Tuzi. Just walk forward, pick up another, look for his counterpart in the torch, and just goes on in and wants to get up close and personal. Finishes off with a little bit of style.
And it's a great thing now about a Human Torch is that you have, especially when you have a Magneto, when you have the Snowflake as well from Luna Snow, you're able to just be so aggressive. You can get the bonus health woman, you can drop the Flaming Meteor, get the bonus health there too. So there's just a lot of options to keep Tuzi in this fight and to be really aggressive. And that's exactly what all business needs here, is just control the chokes, let the angles work out for them, and keep Tuzi really aggressive to keep the pressure on and make sure Helis is not getting any free fire, which he's not so far.
I mean, Helis is getting checked a lot, and it's really hurting the amount of offensive pressure Helis is able to put in. However, Supernova, good to go. Milkboy walking forward. A little Emma versus Emma here in the front, chasing down Welsh Mania. Meanwhile, Helis, good to go. Supernova gonna start dropping it in response, looking to the back line. Meanwhile, everyone else on all business taking cover inside the invisible boundary. Gonna wait out the storm. Invisible boundary down, the fire tornado is still up. Qadsiah full committing, Fate of Both Worlds in. However, all business now gonna respond with their own Supernova and their own strategist ults in turn, looking to turn this against Qadsiah. Qadsiah starting to run out of steam, running out of time to get a pick off here. Tuzi picks up one. Sloppo though dies in turn, mid-crack and impact, still very winnable 5v5.
Damage there. Welsh Mania gonna be finding one tilt down. A lot of damage off the field here, but Tutu very, very low. They're trying to keep the pressure on. They're going to take down Tutu. And the pressure, the position, pretty good. Tuzi going to go down. And Qadsiah looking like they could clean up here. The thing is that All Business, they're in a very strong angle right now, ZP. Look at the angle of the plane. They're going to have the portal. They need to clean up some of these frags fast. And it looks like they are.
Yeah, the portal's gonna come in. They're gonna get another chance for a good quality recontest. The portal is out. All Business back in. Still down 1 in Welsh Mania. Qadsiah, though, needs to play this perfectly. They have the Sonic selection on deck here from Milk Boy. They get the pick off on the Toot, and now they're just gonna use the seduction. Clear off space in the point. Look for another pick off, if possible, is Qadsiah right now. They're able to take down Sloppo, so the vanguards for Qadsiah in disarray, or rather, and now All Business desperately trying to get back in. Invisible Boundary going to be dropped, but right now it's feeling entirely in Qadsiah's favor.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a slow loss for All Business. I will say, considering the position they were in, the disadvantage they had in the elims, this is really well played for All Business in terms of just overall stall. They need to make sure now they don't get too staggered. Losing Tutu a little late. Tuzi's just probably going to get out of the Flame Meteor, exactly what's going to happen. So as long as they don't lose anyone else here, they're probably going to have a pretty decent opportunity to just come back in. And they got some ults out of Qadsiah, they got some timeout. So all things considered, great. Definitely a bit of an issue there, just losing some of the space a bit early. The Meteorium got blocked. Not much going away for All Business in terms of the trades there for the ults, but gonna have some opportunities here on second.
I think what hurt them the most was just Sloppo going for the Kraken Impact and just immediately getting taken down.
I mean, the diamond grab there, so good, for sure.
Yeah, it was a huge interrupt, but Supernova gonna be dropped here by Helis. Just looking to pave the way here, get more room on the convoy. Responded by Closar with the Luna ult. And All Business, they just get to walk through the flames right now, and they find Milk Boy in turn. They rush down the Emma, and All Business, really nice opening defense here, not deterred at all by the torch pressure from Helis.
He's still pretty good here. Qadsiah is going to be making their way on out. And now this is the position where All Business want to hold strong, you know, right? Okay, we won our first fight. We have a Supernova. We have another Kraken Impact. Maybe, hopefully this time, Sloppo does not get caught by the Carbon Crush. You really don't want that to happen again to Milk Boy, because that is, like ZP said, I mean, that was a pretty big turning point, the first point there. So All Business still holding on the card here. Qadsiah, potentially maybe just set up a Kaya, just to drop the Liberty Rush, get the bonus health, maybe try to put some pressure onto the backline here, open up the space, use the flanks, but this is a pretty strong position.
Yeah, Kaya is going to drop the ult immediately, head into the backline. Qadsiah looking for a thing. They get Sloppo again! Super early, this time before the Kraken Impact, but with the early picks, it just sets them up beautifully. The head to the end of second. Maybe All Business is going to be able to reset before then. They do pop the Invisible Boundary just not to get ultra staggered. But you look at the front line for Qadsiah, they're just going to continue to push All Business back and make re-entry a real problem.
And the other huge problem there is because they use that boundary, Helis has Supernova here, and they're walking through chokes, and this is where Human Torch is rubbing his hands together like, oh yeah.
Well, right now he's rubbing nothing together. You get the Meteor F from Toot. However, does not get a pick off, only stops the fire for a moment, and 3 just dying to the flames of Helis as they walk on forward. Second point, going the way of Qadsiah.
Can we talk about this point? What is that creature? Is it a squirrel tail with a unicorn horn and some bat wings? Chat,
I believe it's like a squirrel. It's like the god of squirrels, correct?
Yeah, it's the Norse god. It's Ratatoskr that is walking forward.
Yes, Ratatoskr. That's the one. That's
yes,
the
a Ratatoskr with the green phlegm coming out of its nostrils.
Look, it's stylistic, you know. There's always different ways.
Wait, aren't those? Isn't that his whiskers?
I'm wearing sunglasses. I'm fucked up of ass.
Okay. Well. Now we've cleared that up. We're going to clear up the matter of the third point.
Just kidding, chat.
And what is going on? Tuzi laying in the damage. However, Galactic Legend going to be popped here in turn by Tilt. However, the Invisible Woman Shield able to buy a little bit of time. Lets Tuzi get away. That is ridiculous teamwork to negate the Galactic Legend. However, while you're healing the air, you're not healing Magneto. You lose Toot in turn. Still Qadsiah able to get 1 pick off, now 2 as Tilt comes on in. Sloppo down, and Qadsiah again really good at turning 1 pick off into more.
Sure is.
But did you pick up on any of the subs? Shout out to Cintron26 and Shiro Ace. Shiro is later going to earn $1,000. Watch him live.
Now Tuzi. Come back in, just going for the chase. And now, honestly, ZP, I mean, even though they lost Tuzi and they lost some picks there of that ult from the Galactic Legend, you saw that could just cycle of those cooldowns, right? You had the Guardian Shield, you had the Bulwark, you saved the Flaming Meteor as well to get the bonus health. Really well played from All Business there. Just waste the Galactic Legend, give them some time, have the Fate of Both Worlds come up, and they get the respawns, and they can continue to stay in the strong position as Qadsiah coming in with the Liberty Rush.
Qadsiah trying to put this one away. Helis laying down the fire from above. Kaya into the back line with the cap ult. All business though. Dropping strategist ult in turn. Invisible boundary though now down. Sonic Seduction out for Welshmania. No pickoffs as a result. Both teams still full strength. 6v6. Toot in danger. Goes on down. Isolated. One Vanguard out for All Business. All Business doing a little bit of a retreat right now. Trying to buy time to get up to a full 6. But now we got the little bit torch v torch here in the corner. Helis looking to the sky as Qadsiah continues keeping the convoy. Moving on forward. Sloppo now on to the Star-Lord. 2 down all around him. The backline decimated. And this is going to be it.
I mean, the focus fire, what a find there from Helis as well, using the Flaming Meteor to make sure to displace Toot, just get them away from the AoE of the healing. So there was no bulwarks, no shield, no Meteor M to eat the Galactic Legend. What a find there from Helis. And Qadsiah looking continually strong here. You're loving the performance from both their duelist players, but overall just looking strong in general. Not particularly anything weaknesses to be found.
Shout out to DM Lunatic for the lore. Ratatosk is the messenger of Yggdrasil. He's kind of the Norse Hermes, ZP. You know what I mean?
The Norse Hermes, I don't think, I think in the lore it is pretty quick, so that's actually not a bad comparison, though. Hermes, like, some of the lore on that end gets really ridiculous, and, feats of speed and everything else.
Okay, but he lost to Kratos, so what about that?
Is that more canon? Ego. That was more ego,
canon, though?
That rat would have destroyed Kratos.
Any pagans? Is that canon? Did that happen? I want to know. Or is that considered like the extended universe for Star Wars now? So it's like not really like it's not part of the lore.
Which lore do you actually end up supporting? But here we go. We're swapping sides, and to me, Avast, All Business looked way better. Even though, like, yes, the map got complete against them, they had moments where it's like, okay, you looked far more composed as a team than they did back on map 1.
100%. It's just the comp difference there. Looked pretty strong as All Business. Putting closer, potentially. Oh, no. Okay, just getting some of the packs out. I remember, never trust the spawn doors. Using closer to get some packs out there, some jet packs, some armor packs. Always a fun time. Kaya taking a look at the comp, gonna run on back. And this is Sloppo, though, rolling out with the Wolverine, though. That is gonna stay. So the Wolverine gonna be up, gonna be available here for All Business. They're gonna be looking to drop a Feral Leap, just find one, trying to bring it back to the rest of his team, take out that player.
When you go for a Wolverine comp, you are all in with Wolverine. Either the Wolverine gets incredible value, or your team loses, pretty much. It is feast or famine, but now, going for the abduction, looking for Cap, looking to put an end to the Liberty here. It does. Kaya immediately down, followed up by Welshmania, but it's a leap from Sloppo that sets the tone, and this is going to be a very quick first point if this keeps up.
And the chase, though, Milk Boy hits the Carbon Crush, hits the actual grab again there. So Sloppo gonna go down. Unlikely there's gonna be a retest. I mean, Kaya is on the Strange, so maybe they can get back out here. Yeah, they are gonna be able to get out here. Still, though, losing picks here for Qadsiah, just getting some time on the clock.
Oh,
Kaya finding one, though. That's a pretty big pick with Welsh bringing it down. It's a lot of damage out the field, so Sloppo gonna make it back, but that might be enough for Qadsiah to potentially turn this.
Well, particularly getting Tuzi down. Okay, you've built enough time to get the boundary up. You're going to drop a portal of your own, but Tuzi being out of the fight for this long is really bad. It gives Qadsiah way more safe space to come on in, retake the point, and they do just that with the boundary being burned away. So not the best course of action, I think, for All Business. They're down in resources, and they still have to give up the point.
Yeah, and Welshmania, just to add a little insult to injury, comes back for the Doctor Strange contest of his own and immediately goes down. So, I mean, they're not even going to have, like, a portal. All Business is going to go on back. What a find there. And the tank line, the Vanguards for Qadsiah. Really good find for Kaya. Really good swap. Milkboy as well, getting that pick on a Slugfest, which means there was a lot less damage to finish up the fight there late. So the Vanguard for Qadsiah putting on a really good performance here, as All Business is going to try to come back in.
Yeah, it's going to be Supernova versus Supernova. All Business hanging on the fate of both worlds. They need to drop it soon. They do, just in the nick of time to save Welshmania. Meanwhile, Kaya out of the fight. Helis getting more done here so far. Already burned down 2. Looking for his counterpart in the sky. Laying in the fire, who's just barely able to get to Luna for a little bit of, dance healing. However, Qadsiah way ahead in numbers, and the cleanup will be theirs.
Qadsiah just outside of that first fight where things looked a little grim and then got, saved there by the Vanguards. The ult trades really good here so far, but this should be the fight. If there was a fight here for All Business, Meteor M's up. They're gonna have the last stand. They're gonna have a Sonic Seduction. They're gonna have Invisible Boundary. I mean, it's 4 ults versus maybe 1, maybe 2 max for Qadsiah. This is the moment where you really just want to get a lot of value, in particular from the last stand. But maybe save that for the invisible
2-2.
boundary to try to take them out of it.
2-2, nearly getting bursted down. Sloppo, though, hopping on in. Has the last stand, good to go. Looking, waiting. Right now, just chopping up the Human Torch. Comes on in. Sloppo, right place, right time. Now into the back line. Drops the last stand. Slice it away. Picks up another 2. And this surely will be all business. Getting the Squirrel God moving along.
You definitely could have argued that this was maybe a slight overinvestment there with the last stand at the end, but also removed Maluki, so made sure that there was no invisible boundary used at all. So you didn't even have to play a little cutesy there and just make sure that you take them out of the boundary, you just take it off the field entirely. So that's great. Was kind of expensive, but take the point, which is more important here. Qadsiah now building up some of their larger ult bank. As business, all business trying to find a little pick, not going to find it. And now the corner fight begins. The all-important corner fight, one of the classics of Marvel Rivals, begins here.
Might be time for a little bit of toot-toot basketball right now. Channel what the Knicks have going down. Meteor M, ready to go. Kaya gonna come on over. Toot-toot, where are you gonna pop it? Toot-toot right now, getting isolated and then some. Gonna drop the Meteor M, under pressure. Where's this old magnetic B-ball gonna go? Gets nothing off it. Actually, decent amount of damage on the Kaya. Not enough to kill. Xenos, meanwhile, dying from Helis on the outside with the Supernova. And all business, down 1 right now. Still staying in the fight. Closar says time to dance. Luna ult gonna be dropped here. Tuzi ready to go Supernova in turn. Sloppo under pressure, getting healed up all the while here. Just staying next to Closar the entire time. Tuzi waiting out the fate of both worlds from Qadsiah right now for the time to drop a Supernova of his own. Meanwhile, though, Tilt, Galactic Legend, up, over, looking for anything. The heal so far pretty good here for all business, but finally Tuzi gonna fall underneath the pressure, and all business is starting to get forced back.
Only losing 1 there. Not that bad. They're going to commit the Sonic Seduction and try to find 1. They're trying to find Kaya. They have Kaya. Can they take them? No, unfortunately, we are not. Oh, no, they are going to get him. Okay, they finally get Kaya. And now they're going to chase down that Vanguard. They have to make sure Sloppo doesn't go down. All business. This is their opening. They have the opportunity. They have some ults. It looks like they want to commit the Supernova. Try to find them on the doors.
Milkboy trying to slow things down here at the Sonic Seduction, not getting too much here in turn, just looking for the other Emma, now getting low HP, the flames all around, courtesy of Tuzi. Tuzi, though, under fire, gets taken down by Helis, Torch v Torch. Qadsiah tries to stabilize a bit here. Got the Supernova in from Helis, making the ground all sorts of inhospitable. Sloppo, though, sliced away into the backline, last stand, takes up another 2, and Sloppo ends up falling, but the damage may have been done.
To you.
Yeah, that's right.
True, use his government name, Slopodopoulos. But I mean, they're still losing picks here right now. The Elim's not going to work. They're going to commit the Meteor M2, and now there's really not a lot of Elim power. Tuzi is going to be back, so there's a chance here for all business to clean it up, but they have to stay alive. And I mean, with this Liberty Rush, with Kaya dropping the ult, I just don't think there's enough sustain. There isn't.
They're just getting flooded with Liberty right now. 1 minute left to go. They still have time for a reset, but even second point may be problematic right now for all businesses. Right now, if you're Qadsiah, you're trying to get a little bit of extra stagger pressure.
And now here's the issue for this fight, right? You come into this fight, Maluki has an invisible boundary, Tilt also the Galactic Legend. They're close to a Fate of Both Worlds. So Qadsiah could reasonably just walk forward, trade Strategist ults, and then just pop a late Strategist ult or Galactic Legend. But instead, actually, wait, they have to get the heal Tilt.
Yeah, Tilt nearly died. That's ridiculous that he didn't. Galactic Legend, though, is going to fade. All business completely committed here with Fate of Both Worlds. Got an invisible boundary they're going to drop right on after. Looking for anything. Eyes got to be on Sloppo to see if he can grab anyone in turn. Strategist bank being depleted on both sides. But now he's looking Poke Boy. Eye of Agamotto. Good to go. Gotta drop it. Gets nothing. Hits absolutely no one. Does that Eye of Agamotto, but might not matter. Welsh Media gonna fall to Lindstrom. Qadsiah up 2. And this is looking pretty good for Qadsiah. Final 3 seconds here, and all business falling bit by bit. Give me a second map. Head in the way of Qadsiah.
And unfortunately, they're just, once again, like, the ult trades there. Just having it take so long, having to commit so much for first, so they couldn't steamroll through second there because of that really good recontest that occurred. Just unfortunate for all business because they just didn't have the firepower. They didn't have the firepower necessary, and you get into that last fight, they had the ult advantage, and unfortunately just didn't get enough picks, didn't get what they needed.
Stat line here is going to be real interesting to look at. Just trying to evaluate things like Torch v Torch and man oh man.
Bomb.
Yeah, he was a little bit on fire. Not to make the obvious pun, but it's a pretty good Torch game there.
A really good Torch game there. I mean, you just see that the difference in terms of just the up times playing this. I mean, they just had way better fights in general. I do think Tuzi put on a solid performance, but it's definitely clear that right now, Qadsiah, they just get more space, they get more fights, and when you're getting that, your flyer, especially when you're on a Human Torch, you are farming, absolutely farming damage in general because you're just doing so much AoE damage with those blazing blasts and the Supernovas.
I do wonder how much of this comes down to strategist pressure and what is going on with Kaya just continually being a menace in the backline, every Liberty Rush just being a, oh God, what do we do? I guess we have to use our strategist ults a little bit earlier. I just wonder how much the cap has been beneficially impacting ult economy relative to what we've been seeing from Toot on the other end running the Magneto.
Is there a Marvel character that has a lasso? Invisible Woman came to my mind, but that's a different universe. So I just want to see someone capture Captain and slow his ass down. Maybe just throw him off the map, like have an insta yeet button. We need an answer to that annoying guy. In the meantime, you also need an answer to the 40 bomb that came out, as well as the 49,000 damage from Helis. What can you do if you're thinking like comp-wise of Avast? Is there a hard counter one-on-one to the character Human Torch?
No, honestly, Hela is probably like the best pick, but like the problem is Qadsiah's banning it first every time, right? They're always getting rid of the Hela. There isn't really anything else that's like super great into the fires outside of maybe like Psylocke, who's also getting banned. So the realistic angle there is like you maybe either need to just try to prioritize remove the Human Torch, and just at the very least you won't have to deal with Human Torch specifically, or you try to just change up the comps entirely, get rid of some of the vanguards, get rid of some of the strategists that enable this. And that's really the hard part, because right now with Human Torch, like, yeah, you can get rid of Human Torch, but I think it's a very staple of the composition, and some teams are really good at, some aren't. But you're still gonna have to deal with potential flyer comps in general, because of Iron Man buffs, because of Star-Lord, etc. So I do think for all business, the goal here is let's remove Human Torch, or let's remove the vanguards, and let's remove some of the strategies that are making him viable for all Qadsiah.
And then for the people who are in my gold games, shout out to the guy who found me on Twitter with the screenshot to prove I am gold 3 right now.
They're getting you. They're
just
hunting
moved
you.
into a house. I got maybe 5 hours of game time. It's been glorious. But can we talk a little bit about what else you could run? Is an Iron Fist a counter? Is a Star-Lord a counter? Is, I guess, any of the other flyers going to be a way to shut down this torch?
There is, well, not so much the flyers, but the one counter that you could run that all business has been banning themselves would be a Hela, but they don't seem interested in running a Hela mirror versus Qadsiah, and that probably just comes down to the idea that they feel like if they go Hela v Hela, they think they'll lose. But ideally, if you had a Hela, look, Hela's one of the best heroes in the game at applying pressure to anything flying or, you know, frankly, anything moving. It's a hit scan hero that scales really, really well with mechanical skills, so if you can play it, it's great. But all business, they're taking that out immediately, which is kind of forcing things more into a torch meta, whether they like it or not.
Wonder Woman, thank you, Hex. He's got my back. We're still talking about potential lassos for guys like Wolverine, for guys like Kaya running the Captain America. The game's got a lot of options, chat. Let us know, who do you want to see enter the Rivals universe? For now, we know we have our EU team about to enter the championship match. No offense, all business, but it's been quick work today. You're about to punch out ZP. Is it all ending here on the path?
It very well might. I mean, for me, I think for all business, you got to change up your draft even more so. I would actually say even more so than banning the torch. I think the thing that has been hurting them all series long has been the Vanguard discrepancy. And I think you just have to consider maybe dealing with Hela isn't the worst, but get rid of Captain America. Get rid of the Liberty Rush into your backline every 2 seconds. Just let it end. No cap involved here, and see what happens then, because I just think the Vanguard end has probably been their #1 Achilles heel because of everything it's impacted in terms of ult economy from there on out.
All right, Capt has been protected. He has been a problem. Torch has been protected by somebody. He has been a problem. Hela hasn't really been into the mix too much. We'll see what comes out on the path here. Remember, we've seen some unique strategies. Is Punisher viable in 2025 Avast?
I mean, teams have kind of pulled out some pocket Punisher picks, honestly, especially on path where you've used like portals from the Strange to like set up something to the backline, or just try to go really aggressive to like hopefully farm an ult like really quickly, the Final Judgment. It is pretty good also into dealing with flyers if you're able to pop it off. So maybe the map's pretty big. Historically, I would say no, we're probably not going to see Punisher, but if there's any map where Punisher does see an appearance, the usual path, I should say, does have a relatively frequent appearances for Punisher. So it could happen here. Really, the question is, Human Torch, mod check? Do we see it?
Psylocke,
Hela?
not there.
No.
Hela! You're kind of tying one hand behind your back. All right, let's go into this one.
Oh, okay.
Protect the man of iron.
This is a big change where they've been protecting Torch because it's been all business that's been right Torch. It's just the mirror hasn't been working out for them. Now for Qadsiah, do you protect Torch in turn? Because to me, what this signals for all business, I think they're going to come in next ban and take down Torch and make sure Torch isn't viable and they turn into a more of a Tony Stark centered game. But okay, they're going to protect the cap. They don't want the cap to be banned.
Yep.
All business. Do you come around on the turn now and do you get rid of Human Torch and give us a very different map than what we've had previously?
That is the question, especially because, I mean, a Protect on Iron Man also could be like, yeah, Human Torch banned.
Okay.
So we could still see flyers, but this could be more of like the death. This could be like the death ball flyers, though. This could be like Storm, Iron Man. Like you're having your flyers play really close to you versus you're playing super duel heavy, and you're just doing AOE like death ball style. This could be where we're going. It just depends, especially with Groot gone as well.
Could be. Is it gonna be fun? We got a Hulk in the mix.
Yeah.
On the other side, Qadsiah, we are playing Yggdrasil Path. I will never be able to say that word. That's why we have a Vast here. He crushed it week 1, by the way. You can go all the way back in the VOD. I just said the path. I was too terrified to take on the word. Nailed it. Is this Loki's home ground? We haven't seen him all night.
It's technically like all of the Norse gods sort of like area, you know. This is like in their domain to a degree. I don't think this is like canonically. I think Yggdrasil is just the tree of life. So I don't know where it fits into the Marvel universe quite as well, but Adam Warlock's banned, so he's not fitting into our universe for this game.
Get him out.
So I'm not going to see Adam Warlock. I mean, across the board though, ZP, I look at this, you also see the Protect on the Hulk. Do you think they're going to do like the Hulk Iron Man with the team up potentially?
Yeah, and potentially more too when you go to the defense. And they banned Star-Lord, so the interesting part here is that, okay, you've gotten rid of the Star-Lord. If you're Qadsiah, you could potentially run the Cap Jeff if you want to. A comp that we have seen on Yggdrasil Path in and of itself too. So, okay, no matter what, we're getting a different look for a third map, which I love. I hate the idea where teams just lock in the same ban pick the entire way through, even as they're losing. Like, please, change something up on the final map. What's gonna happen? You're gonna lose more? I don't know.
Answer this question, gentlemen. Who would you like to see in the game next? We have Juggernaut, Gambit, Nightcrawler, Toad, who has a lasso with his tongue, or MODOK, voiced by Patton Oswalt.
Is it also Professor X? What about Professor X?
Chat did not list Professor X.
They didn't list Professor X?
To the chat. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, no,
you don't want to be able to like
people.
beam people with your mind? Yeah, I guess ball discrimination continues.
Look, if they get Professor X in there, my only request is you got to get Patrick Stewart to voice it. While he is still alive, healthy, and with us, more Patrick Stewart is what
we got AI for that, ZP.
I do think, wow, okay, well, the people are not going to be, I think right now, Patrick Stewart, I think it'd be really funny if his last credit, though, as like a working artist would be him voicing himself in Marvel Rivals.
Well, that was Kevin Conroy's last thing was, what's it called? It was
yeah,
one of the last video
Kevin
games.
Conroy, I love Kevin Conroy, but not quite the same as Patrick Stewart.
Well, either way, Doozy just immediately gets brought to ground, courtesy of Helis. Wolverine, the anti-flyer tech, coming out strong. All business, losing a pick from the get-go here. And, for an Qadsiah first attack, this is everything you want and more.
And they are just trying to use this double team up here from the Hulk, using both the Namor and the Iron Man as indestructible guard out. A lot of pressure onto Helis. Not able to find him, though. Very, very good. Just heals, shields in general. So all business, keeping themselves alive, just keeping in this static position right now, which is probably the best place they can be when they're running the Namor.
Yeah, it's not at all bad to be. I mean, they're able to re-solidify. And I mean, look, Sloppo came close to dying at one point, was able to be kept up. The Squids have been getting massive value, and Sloppo finally connects, takes down Helis, who's into the back line. Now, Toot in a little bit of danger, knocked back in the banner form. Is able to back out, might get away. Nope, not quite. Looking back over here, the Tuesday, seeing how the Iron Man is panning out here so far. Qadsiah, they'd like to finish this off here and now. They come on in, Psionic Seduction, popping all ults available into the Loki clone of Luna, but all the while, all business, hanging firm here so far, dropping the whale into the backline. No connection there. Tuesday, though, getting ready here with the burst up over the top. Gonna drop it into the backline, regeneration domain. Gonna negate the most of it, and this is just back and forth right now with Vast.
I mean, unless the Hornet Proteus gets value, which it doesn't here, I mean, we're pretty much in a complete stalemate yet again. And the Namor working out really well for All Business, where, sure, they're not getting tons and tons of picks, but they are staying alive. They have an extra mitigation factor into this, what was the Wolverine. Now they made Helis swap, obviously, to the Winter Soldier. And now they can chase down here with the Iron Man, drop some armor overdrive, drop some focus beams. And this is a very, very smart adjustment, I think, for All Business. I think they're playing this really well currently. They're getting tons and tons of value from the team up. They're making sure Toot is just taking some of the pressure away. As Qadsiah, looks like they might want to put Helis onto the Iron Man.
Avast, the chat asks a very important question. Who do you think has a tougher time with stairs, ZP or Professor X?
I mean, honestly, it might be ZP. Professor X can just levitate over it, man. He doesn't even have to walk it. He can just levitate over.
He's got super tech. I just got normal tech in the year 2025. Yeah, to me, it's pretty straightforward. But we got Kaya dropping on in with the whole call. Helis, look at the burn down. Emma gonna do it the aid of Milk Boy. First pick off here towards Qadsiah, and the next pick's coming right on after as Kaya unleashes chaos into the backline. Not just good on Cap, also good on Hulk.
And that pressure, those picks, so good for Qadsiah. Their first point going their way, making some good swaps, and just feeling really confident is, okay, Welsh Mania gonna drop a portal just for a little bit of, hey, by the way, hey guys, get a little FaceTime there. Doctor Strange maybe calls people, he does a FaceTime, but just mini portals through a phone, perhaps. As now Qadsiah taking up some aggressive positions, gonna be fighting the choke. Toot's looking to make something happen here, but found a little early with the Exile.
Right now, second point, getting into action. Both teams completely stacked. So this fight really going to dictate the tempo of the game, as you expect both ult banks to just be thoroughly drained. Neutral fight, though, going on for a long time. Neither team wanting to be the first to pop. Toot, though, gonna drop the Hulk ult first. Walking on forward. Qadsiah, regen domain already used. Slappa, though, able to get one pick off early on. Toot on the fall through. And this is going to be Qadsiah getting forced back.
Great find from Slappo there. The Namor seems to be like definitely equalizing this a bit. Tilt obviously looked to be so good throughout the series, maybe struggling a bit more here on the Namor, or at least into Slappo in particular. So only having using the single ult there, the Hulk smash there for All Business. Take that space. Qadsiah now looking for the recontest. And this is a very, very strong position to hold too, ZP. Historically on Neutral Path, this has been like one of the strongest areas just in general to fight. Especially with the Namor, with the Iron Man, to where you can put so much damage on the approach.
Yeah, I mean, also defensive Namor just working at more of an advantage, but you gotta love the CC. Hidden on to the Iron Man, nearly getting Tuzi killed, and does! That was courtesy of Kaya, bring him to ground, tilt on the follow through, and that is ridiculous opening from Qadsiah. Gonna get all the way through the bulk of second off this pick, but it won't be all the way. All Business gets one more contest.
And, you know, that's just kind of the value for in general of Emma Frost, right? Is you can, when you have a really strong fight, when you get a player out of position, maybe force some of those early cooldowns like Mind Aegis out of Welsh Mania, just walk forward, gets everyone caught on the corner, and now All Business have to recontest through these chokes into Qadsiah. And sure, they have a slight ult advantage, but this is a very hard spot to make it through, as they're going to drop the God of Mischief early just to make sure the copy for Xenos is up.
Welsh Mania just turns a corner with Psionic Seduction, leaving nothing to chance. Gonna be forcing Qadsiah back. Maximum Pulse ends up getting the Luna. Massive early pick here for All Business, and off the Iron Man ult, that's gonna be it.
Now Qadsiah investing there too. So not having the Fate of Both Worlds. Gonna have to recontest, make the long walk back. Less than a minute remaining, so we're pretty much in a last fight territory, barring some Doctor Strange shenanigans here. And if you're Qadsiah, you have to be kind of worried, because as you come into this next fight, okay, Hornet Proteus is up for Slappo, so they're going to have to be saving the regeneration domain for that. They're going to have to be making sure that they're not losing anyone a little bit early here. And for All Business, the name of the game here is force out some strategy ults, maybe set up the Hornet Proteus to just find one.
Kaya, gonna be the first one to head on over. Ult in reserve to stay up HP-wise, have a little bit more pressure. Doesn't want to burn it here just yet. The poke damage on the Kaya actually really, really nice from All Business here off the jump. Welsh Mania, though, getting focused down in turn. Qadsiah angling for an advantage here wherever they can get it, but man, oh man, the pressure on the Kaya is ridiculous. Kaya, though, decides now's the time to strike. The regen domain has been used. Into the backline he goes. Helis gonna drop the ult, takes down Welsh Mania, but Tuzi in turn taking down Helis for it. 5 on 5. Both teams still even strength. The horn from Slappo comes to the back line, takes down Luna. A massive early pickoff. All business in a really nice spot here at Vast. They just need a little bit more, but they lose their own Luna. It's Milk Boy evening the tide with Psionic Seduction, but it may be too little too late. Still going more the way of all business here so far. Qadsiah desperately trying to make it work, but Tutu saying no way.
Tutu putting on an amazing whole performance there, even getting the catch there where they hit someone in the air, brings them to the ground. What a good find with the right click as well. Tutu getting multiple picks, getting exactly what they needed here for all business. And all business, I mean, they're going to have the copy. Everyone's going to live through this. Maluki dropping that Fate of the Worlds late. Doctor Strange portal going to come on out, but I mean, they can't even touch. They can't even get back in time.
All business looking the best we've seen them here so far, making adjustments to what they're picking, what they're banning, seemingly working out. However, don't jump the gun here just yet, because it is still Yggdrasil path where, guess what? You're not guaranteed to get through first to Vast.
No, definitely not. It can be a Stalingrad-esque hold if you get the first, so it is always the corners of doom, plus that little mini high ground. You have I mean, there's so many angles of terror, and I mean, really just, even though you look at the stats, you're like, oh, it's pretty equivalent. I will say Tutu, really, really great performance there at that last fight. And I've seen people talk about a lot where a lot of times, like, people in ranked are like, oh, we got to get rid of Hulk. We don't want to have to play against Hulk like Namor. But like, really, if you just get rid of Namor, like, it's hard to play Hulk. Hulk is definitely one of the harder vanguards to be really, really good at. And the impact can be incredible if you're really good at it. But the ceiling is so high and the floor is so high too for that hero. So when you get to see like good Hulks and how much impact they can bring to the game, it's always a treat to watch.
Yeah, I mean, the variation alone is pretty ridiculous on what you get, which is, I mean, look, it's just good to see Hulk, because I feel like for the most part, since Season 2 has begun, Bruce Banner has been one of the most consistently banned heroes by all teams. You just don't get to see him because oftentimes it's not available, and it's because of what you get off the team up, because if you ban Bruce Banner, you don't have to worry about the Iron Man team up. You don't have to worry about the Namor team up. And it just seems like the target of least resistance ban. But here we go. All business on the attack, looking to extend the series and not get 3-0'd.
So Qadsiah doing a little more of the same, honestly. Just playing the corner here, letting the Iron Man get that poke in there for Helis. For all business, it's how do we force an angle here, right? How do we get them off the corner? How do we stop the poke? And how can we just maybe isolate someone early? As Welshmania getting pressure a little early, going to back on up. And Helis just free firing as normal.
So far, so good for all business, getting decent progress onto the convoy, able to get positioning over in him without losing anyone here just yet. Helis right now going a little bit of Tony v Tony action on the top. Slappo though, again, gonna get first pick off, and it's a big one. Getting Metsuki off in the back, and losing as a strategist like that, it's just gonna be really difficult to maintain on the point, and you're just seeing the slow collapse of Qadsiah here on the first point.
Slappo definitely having a really, really good performance in the Namor. And this is what you need to see from the Namor in general, especially on maps like Yggdrasil Path, is opening up a flank, because you have so much sustain. You have the bubble, you have the squids, you have so much ability, you have just a general amount of health, a good amount of health in general. You have a lot of ability to just open up a flank and just get a pick. And that's what Slappo's been doing. That's exactly what you need.
Qadsiah on the back foot. Note that they don't have that much more room to give. They have to defend for 5 minutes. And you just take a look at the top middle of your UI. All business does not have to go very far. They're going to drop the God of Mischief here. Going to be double dance party coming in for all business. All ults available. Kicking off with a little bit of Loki dancing. The horn from Slappo over. Connects. Takes down one. Lindstrom out of it. Helis, though, able to take down 2Z in response. 5-on-5. Helis going into the back line. Tilt, dropping a horn of his own into a maximum pulse. And that's going to shut down what was looking like an all-business route.
Looked like they had it there. They'd opened up. Tutu was keeping the pressure on the back line. But unfortunately, sometimes you get caught in mid-ult. I mean, it's just the pulse cannon. It gives and it takes. Because having to stand still makes you a very, very easy target. And Helis, once that threat was taken care of, can just drop a relatively uncontested pulse cannon off that pick. So now this is a lot harder fight here for all business. They do have over 4 minutes to just burn ults out of Qadsiah. So this is a question now for Qadsiah of how efficiently can you win fights?
Needs to be really efficient. Milk Boy, gonna try and add to that efficiency, looking for a seduction through the window, and instead sees the squids, and the entire mood is ruined. So no one gets introduced that time around. Meanwhile, Tutu into the back, finding Maluki one more time. The strategist line for Qadsiah struggling to stay alive, and all business looking to take advantage. They get tilt right on after, they push out forward. If you're all business, you just need to stop the staggers right now and hope you can delay, because you don't have much left to give.
However, they have to make it through this choke. They don't have a Doctor Strange. They need to get in for the touch. They're going to send in Kaya. Sacrificial Lamb does have the Hulk Smash, so a lot of HP, a lot of extra cooldown or reduction of cooldown here for Kaya to just contest, but getting burned.
All right, yeah, and 2 being dropped immediately for all business. Qadsiah, the recontest is really, really good. Off the maximum pulse from Heelless. And Vast, they live for now. They've given up about as much as they could give. They have the convoy is nearly at the final point. So
yeah, you can see there's the Rams taking it on back. They're backing on up there.
It's a slow motion reverse. It almost looks like it shouldn't work that way, and yet it does.
They're just very coordinated. But the problem here is that, okay, that's a very expensive fight for Qadsiah. They had to invest a lot of ults. And now the card is so close that it's kind of risky to play super aggro here because of the fact that Sloppo, 2-2, they could just put pressure onto the card itself, onto the point, and make them have to back. So they have to play a little bit more passively here around this corner because of that pressure onto the cart. Is now all business walking on in, looking to set up a pulse cannon, finds Heelless immediately.
Yeah, Heelless wasn't able to get to the ground to get more support. Up 1 is all business. Looking to extend the series. Massive 2Z. A maximum pulse finds 3. And that is going to be all business. Finding a comp that works, extending out our series. Virtus Pro, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer because all business, they've brought this one to 4.
They've done it. They've sealed the deal. I mean, just businessmen shaking hands.gif. Like they've finally done it. They completed it. They had to make sure that they finished the merger of 2Z's Pulse Cannon with their faces. And now, finally a map on the board here for all business. And I mean, what a good play. And in general, just composition for all business looked really good. Sloppo, a lot of pressure on them more. They were getting value from the team ups. Like, this was overall just a fantastic swap in general for all business. And I really love them across the board, across these roles. They had a ton of value. They had a ton of synergy. They were getting all the limbs they needed. Very, very good adjustment for all business.
And to me, when I look at this, you know what it tells me of Vast going into the next map? We've seen the end of Bruce Banner. I firmly believe he is going to get banned out very early by Qadsiah, if at all possible, because that was the main differing factor here, is that you had a linchpin that enabled 2 very good team-ups that made Sloppo play on a completely different level. 2Z looked way better on the Iron Man as opposed to the Torch, so things will be changing for map 4.
That Slopodopolis when he's on the Namor. Well done on the Iron Man as well, as you see all business take a map. We thought it was going to be punching their ticket into the grand finals for Qadsiah, but they're going to have to wait one more map. It's their map pick. Avast. Domination went their way. Map 2 went their way. Is Convergence a little bit messier? Do you pull out a Convoy next? Do you go back to a Domination? What do you do if you're the manager?
I mean, I definitely feel like you don't want to go back to a Domination potentially. It feels like when they have a little bit more room to work with. And in general, when you deal with teams that maybe sometimes there might be a slight power gap in terms of just the overall strength of the roster, Domination's a very, very hard map type to get right, especially because you have very small margins for error occasionally. So I much prefer going to a Convergence or a Convoy in general over going back to Domination.
As we take a look at some of the highlights, I don't feel like we've seen enough Iron Man on this broadcast, ZP. Today, we got a small sample of it. Do we get more going into a game 4, or does Hulk mean no Iron Man as well?
If you ban Hulk, you're not going to see Iron Man in most cases. And to me, if you're Qadsiah, where you were dominating the first 2 maps, and now you just get punched in the mouth here on the path, yeah, you're going to change things up, and you're going to say, no more Bruce Banner, which also just deletes Iron Man and deletes Namor. You would be foolish to do anything else.
Now, if they ban Bruce Banner, that means a Psylocke potentially comes through for all business to rock with. Can you protect Bruce Banner? Is he that big of a linchpin of Vast moving forward? Is it worth using your first protect on a Vanguard?
I mean, potentially yes. I do think that it's pretty, because protecting Bruce also, like, it keeps the Namor pick alive, right? And even if you can't remove the Human Torch, you do have the opportunity at least to play this kind of anti-flyer competition, to have that in your back pocket. I kind of do feel like it might be worth it because it enables so many other comps here, right? And it keeps pressure on to Qadsiah to be like, oh, like, we need to try to remove some other heroes from this lineup, which means that, okay, maybe we have less protects now for a Human Torch protect, right? Or even a Hela ban. So I do think there's something interesting about trying to keep Bruce Banner in the pool here and keeping Hulk in the pool overall for all business, because of the pressure it's going to put onto the rest of the protects and bans for Qadsiah.
if you're here for the first time, you're probably wondering, why do they wonder what characters are used? Why are they harping about this so much? Well, we saw teams go 0 to hero. FlyQuest was a perfect example of that. They are our NA champions. They'll be in action later tonight. Is All Business a potential champion? Stay tuned to find out. We're going to a break. Countless actions, moments of brilliance, all leading to your ult being nullified by a giant green monster who then punches you on his way off the wall, and then a beamy squid shoots you with its tiny green laser beams. It's Marvel Rivals. Welcome to disappointment at its highest level with the biggest peaks in excitement. We've got ZP, we've got Avast, and I want to start here with you, ZP. If you were the Hulk, in Hulk form, where's the first place you would go in Minnesota?
Where's the first place I would go in Minnesota? I mean, look, I'd have to go and probably just do a little bit of hunting, explore the outdoors that normally is out to kill me. I'd have all the Hulk, powers at hand, and, nature. I fear you no longer, because otherwise nature is just kicking the crap out of me, Bucket. That's just how it goes.
Got nothing on your Hulk feet, ZP. I like that call out. Avast, we have a series on our hand. All Business found that Hulk unleashes a new beast within them. The Iron Man contributes the torch. Not a big deal on the path, but now we can see it back in action on Krakoa. Thoughts moving forward? Do we get our first game 5 of the night?
I mean, my first thought is, what is happening to ZP in the forest to where there's so much fear around nature? That's my first
mosquitoes.
thought.
I mean, you've seen me. Okay, Avast, you've seen me suffer mortal harm in a climate-controlled stairwell, and you think I'm gonna survive out in the wild? Are you crazy? Like, I'm sorry.
I don't think there's that. He's attracting this much aggro from the forest creatures. But overall, I mean, you go to Krakoa, Human Torch land. I mean, if you want to talk about a map, we've seen a ton of Human Torch, and kind of like debut of Human Torch is like, this is a standard meta character and it's looking really, really good. It is Krakoa. So then when we think about All Business and what we just saw on Neutral Path, it has to be a concern of, okay, what do you do about this? Like, how do you counteract this potential very Human Torch heavy map? Do you try to do more of this Hulk play with the Namor, with the Iron Man? Do you try to pull out something different? Do you try to mirror again? Which a lot of those are maybe not that advisable. So I think Krakoa is going to put a lot of pressure here on All Business to try to remove the Human Torch.
ZP, we have a lore lord over on our YouTube stream. Shout out to everyone watching across our multiple platforms. We're on Twitter, of course, YouTube, and Twitch.tv. They mentioned that Krakoa was designed by Professor X. There's portals everywhere, and there's no stairs, just ramps.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of it, if you're designing your own house that you're going to be walking through, or in this case, not walking through, rolling through every day, you're going to get rid of impediments. You're not going to, yeah.
This stream is not ADA compliant, bro. Like, we're taking so many shots at Professor.
No. His stuff climbs. His stuff climbs. I just read the chat's comments of Vast. That's what I get paid for. We get paid to watch these people play video games. It's the greatest job on the planet, and Psylocke is not going to get a chance to be appearing at all in this series. That is now 4 straight Psylocke bans met with an insta hella ban, and now they've learned something. They say Iron Man is going to be our first protect. We'll find out if the Hulk ban comes out from Qadsiah.
If you don't see Bruce Banner put away, yeah, okay. I was gonna say 100% Bruce Banner is getting put away. Maybe you still try to do they ban Torch here? I still wonder if they ban Torch.
I feel like if you don't have Hulk, you have to do Torch, right? Like, I don't think you want to play this is the Torch map. Krakoa is like the Torch map from what we've seen from all the gameplay. Like, people love playing Torch. Like, surely get rid of Torch. Okay, Groot, you got one other ban still.
Did All Business not fumble the bag with their protect? They should have protected Bruce, right?
I mean, maybe they. Okay, so they're gonna.
Because then even if they ban your Iron Man, you have Namor in your bag.
I wonder if they're either going to try to force. I think it is kind of a fumble. I will agree.
You've lost the Torch fight. That's
but like maybe there's a chance. Maybe there's a chance here that they have something cooked. Like, also protect on the Human Torch means that they can't. They are not going to use the protect for that now. So like, I mean, it just seems like they've just enabled a bunch of flyers. I'm kind of interested to see what All Business's plan here is for this map, because they'll
ban Luna.
Like, sure,
I think I think they're gonna ban Luna because, like, I think the other thing that All Business called as a bluff was the idea of like, oh, you're not gonna run the Jeff. Like, you can run the Jeff. We saw no Jeff from Qadsiah, and they got benefit from banning the Star-Lord. Now the Star-Lord gets protected in turn, and they're protecting Luna every time. So I think if you're All Business, you go, well, you really like playing around the Luna. We're gonna get rid of that, unless they also like playing around the Luna just as much. We'll see.
I don't understand you're gonna save a Star-Lord, but then ban your Cocoon.
Well, to be fair, Star-Lord is not necessary to be played without him. More like it's nice, but it's not like a requirement.
Okay.
He's still like a pretty good flyer. So especially if you have like Luna Snow in the field, so you can give the Snowflake. So I don't think that's like a 100% necessary requirement here. I do think for all business, removing the Loki is rather interesting because maybe they're looking at this like, okay, we know Adam Warlock's gone. We have no Loki. Like, it gives the opportunity for things like Jeff, but really just like Luna Snow, Invisible Woman is probably going to be standard still, especially because you want the shields for your flyers.
Charles Xavier is not currently paralyzed, so you all can eat it. Thank you, Boof and Blunts in the chat. We got High Bear hanging out as well.
When did that happen?
Extra. As always, it's Krakoa. It's map 4. This is your EU Challenger match, and on the mic, we got a Vasted ZP.
Look, I don't have comic history, though, to know that never really stays the case. They will find another reason to put him back in the chair, the same reason why, like, every now and then Thing will get cured and Thing, doesn't always have to be in Thing mode, and then they realize, no, we can't let Ben Grimm be happy. His character arc is actually suffering. Go back to becoming orange all the time, where, by the way, speaking of the Thing, I haven't seen a lot of the Thing in recent times here at Vast. The meta is just kind of gone without him.
No, especially because they had those buffs, so he gave less damage reduction from his like embattled leap. So one of his like best parts of his kit has been nerfed. So I do think when you combine a nerf with some of the buffs that have occurred, he's probably just not the most. Because like think about the ground battles that are occurring right now. Like he's not really the greatest into like Emma Frost and like stuff like that. Like sure he's kind of resistant to the CC, but Emma Frost is just so much damage. So I do think overall, not a good time to be Ben Grimm main, to be a Thing main.
Now, he's back in the Fantastic Four Tower, just taking a little bit of a reprieve. But we're back into it here. All business versus Qadsiah. Qadsiah trying to put this away. Get into the money match versus Virtus Pro. But they're going to have to do it here on Krakoa. All business again. Real was Welsh Mania. Finally getting burned on down by Heelish. Just a little bit too much poke damage. Now Toot. The next potentially to fall and is Qadsiah. Real good in the neutral game.
I mean, also just Helis, relatively uncontested this whole time, right? Like, there isn't a lot of pressure on him. They get these early picks. Like, you look at this and you say, okay, it seems like a pretty interesting idea from all business to just take this to a straight Human Torch mirror, right? Because that's what we're on, right? We have a protect with Iron Man, so Iron Man's still getting played. So you're going to have some of that, the armor, the overdrive with those buffs. You're going to have the focus beam, so you will have some of the extra pressure. But it definitely feels like so far in this series that Qadsiah on the Torch have looked a lot stronger.
Yeah, and also, I just think comp-wise, what they're running, to me, makes more intuitive sense than trying to run the Iron Man without Bruce. Welsh Mania, though, able to run down Maluki with the aid of the rest of all business, but they lose Slopo in the process. Milkboy, meanwhile, going over and down. Gonna take a little bit of portal action up over the top as Helis continues his assault, takes down 2Z, and Qadsiah gonna push off all business once more. Soon to be 50% on the point.
And, that's... another good call out too is that on top of the fact that we don't have the Hulk to help give that power to Floppo and the Iron Man. I mean the Star-Lord in general, like Star-Lord is a lot better matchup for the Star-Lord player into the Iron Man because the Iron Man's sitting there like shooting his trying to shoot his beams and the Star-Lord just dancing around it, just shooting you with his gats the whole time. So I do think that it's another just unfortunate matchup for all business where they're playing a little bit of a harder comp to maneuver.
Tilt meanwhile. Galactic Legend, good to go for now. Just content to do a little bit of damage. Welsh Mania here. End in Liberty as you know it. Now, looking to the sky. High damage here onto Torch. Helping Helis take the Torch v Torch battle at the moment. Flyer versus Flyer. Up and over. Galactic Legend still being hung onto. Helis, though, it's this time the bird. Supernova popped. Finds Slopo. Immediately tilt on the Welsh Mania in turn. 2 down once more for all business. With 90% left to go. Vest, I think you save these ults for next round.
I mean, yeah, you definitely want to bank this. You want to have some contest that comes out for all business just to force them to go for it, because why not try to make some ults of your own? But this is going to be a 100-0 shutout, and, like, all business had nothing going for them at any point. Like, unfortunately, it just wasn't a great round for them, and it didn't feel like their composition was getting a lot done. They weren't playing, like, this full dive because they have the Captain America to where they could put pressure. They didn't have a Star-Lord to follow up. They were getting constantly shot and taken out of the air in general, so the strategists are sitting there like, well, I guess I'm just gonna die now. Like, that's it. So I look at this and I see the matchups in general, and Helis is just so continuously uncontested still.
Well, I got news for you right now, Vest. If you like neutral fights, you might want to turn off the screen because everyone is charged up and ready to go to kick off what could be our final round of the Challengers match to decide who is gonna go and face off against our undefeated champion in Virtus Pro.
Yeah, I mean, I'm holding out hope. Holding out hope here, you know? Maybe this is where All Business, they've been actually all preparing for the multi-ult fight here. And this is where we really see the power of the competition. A single pulse cannon to open it up, and they don't even have control of the point. This could be the grand design.
Honestly, I didn't like
Okay. And on over, All Business. How many ults are they going to use here, Qadsiah? I expect both teams to just dump the bank, and we'll see who's actually going to be on top after all. Yeah, pretty much.
We'll take the ults out at once to crash the economy, the ult economy.
Or just pull out, dump it. That's where we're at. The ultimate dump it. But
could be that.
Here we go. Both teams poking back and forth in neutral. Neither team in the first button to go here just yet. Maybe Welshmania again low. It is. A little bit of Liberty Rush here for All Business. Backed up with the Psionic Seduction. Trying to take the fight here, the Qadsiah. Responding with the Invisible Boundary and a Psionic Seduction of their own. The resources are being burned, but right now, I gotta look more towards Tilt, more towards Sloppo. What's gonna happen with the burst? It's gonna hit, and it's gonna hit Helis. It's a mid-air maximum pulse from Sloppo. Getting rid of the torch threat. Meanwhile, Tilt trying to equalize here. Galactic Legend in tow. Looking for anyone on the All Business side. Might get Toot and does. Right now, 1-for-1, both sides. Alt banks being drained. Sloppo, though, getting a little bit more on the other end. And All Business might be first, not only the first to cap, but first to win the first fight.
I mean, there was the grand design, ZP. The grand design was to just get the pulse cannon, get a pick, and win the first fight. And now they're going to get a little bit stagger here, too, onto Lindstrom. So this is fantastic for All Business. Lindstrom going, skating away. They're going to get the late pick off there. And, okay, worked out. I think also maybe you have, like, a little bit of these tighter fights here. That the angles aren't as large, so the Iron Man can get a little bit more value because you don't have this huge distance to cover and get poked at. So I do like that a bit here for All Business. It's definitely working out. Is gonna still hold on to the invisible boundary as Qadsiah come on in. And a watch out for Helis to see, can they get anything from this Supernova? Can they force out maybe the strategy early from Xenos?
We'll have to see. If you're All Business, you kind of want to be perfect from here on out. 54% in their favor, just because they were able to get control of the point before the fight was over. So Qadsiah gonna have to work out of more of a hole here. Helis opening up. Supernova lighting the way, looking for damage on the All Business. All Business, the invisible boundary comes out too late, not in time. Save Tuzi. So All Business now already down one. Tilt able to take down Xenos in turn. I think if you're All Business, you let this one go, but Sloppo tries to equalize with the Iron Man ult, and it's not gonna result in anything Avast.
No, I mean, very little value getting on there, and not even gets one with the pulse cannon. And this is the issue I run into with the All Business comp. It's like, okay, so our win condition is hopefully we get a pick or we get a pulse cannon. And because otherwise, like, the trades just aren't going their way. Otherwise, like, there hasn't been that confidence instilled to me when they're playing in this flyer composition. Qadsiah, they're just more mobile. They have more poke. They have more ability to contest the flyers. So it's a recontest. All Business, they have some options. They have the Liberty Rush to give some of them that extra HP. They're gonna have the Supernova too, so maybe they can force out this invisible boundary early from Maluki.
Okay, diving on in right now is Tuzi. Up and over. Supernova. Good to go, and just burned down. Tilt dropping him for the dive in, and this fight over before it even begins, and you got Qadsiah dancing, and it's just, wondering, who else came to this party? You're already down two. You're feeling not great about the entire situation. Qadsiah gonna drop the Liberty Rush to just make the end of here a little bit more decisive.
However, they're chasing a little deep. Tuzi there, coming back, dropping the Supernova, but however, getting totally poked out. And now All Business, they're trying to drop more ults just to make it through the choke, but already Helis not looked at, completely unlooked at.
Yeah,
that's ult economy.
Well, it's something that All Business don't have right now. They're currently lacking one.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, right now they are not managing their ults particularly well, and it's putting them in a bind. Helis keeping the fire up and over. All Business running out of time. Their tournament life on the line, 75%. Qadsiah, two facing Virtus Pro. Just need a little bit more, and All Business, you got right now, look to Sloppo. The pulse cannon is ready to go once more. Iron Man, what you got in store? All Business running out of time to make it their presence out, but they get Tilt. Early pickoff here from All Business. Nothing else invested here so far. Qadsiah on the back foot. Invisible boundary can be dropped. But here's Maximum Pulse, comes on in, takes down Helis. Huge from Sloppo and Avast. We may be going to round 3 if All Business can keep this up.
However, Xenos goes down late. They don't want to lose anymore. They lost 2. They lost both strategists there. And now there's going to be a strange portal up on the point. This is very dangerous. They need to finish off some of these weak players right out. No, that's something that could not happen. Kaya couldn't make it through the portal. That's actually disastrous. All business. They're in a tough situation. Welsh Mania needs to get a Liberty Rush, but he's going to go down. And I mean, the flip's going to happen here again.
And they don't have any time. They have to go in. It is overtime. All business needs to stand the point or it is over. Qadsiah coming back on in. Invisible boundary going to be dropped. They want to seal this here and now. The Doctor Strange portal dropped here by All Business, looking for the miracle. They've already lost Qadsiah though. Down 1 strategist. Welsh Mania, Liberty Rush, looking for anything, finding nothing. Milk Boy, the Psionic Seduction through the portal saying, come on over here and simply go back to spawn. Kaya finish up 2-2. And that is gonna be it. Qadsiah booking their ticket to face VP in the money match right after this.
I mean, this is just a bit of just a comp difference again. Like, it just didn't feel like that comp was working out a lot for All Business. You saw some moments of greatness, but really the thing that set off that round loss and the eventual map loss, right, was that dive. They went for that really heavy dive on Maluki. And the problem is when you're not running the Star-Lord and instead you're running that Iron Man composition, is that they felt compelled to throw. They use Tuzi for the dive, right? When they sit in the Captain America, when they sit in Welsh Mania, they use the Meteor. Like, okay, Flaming Meteor, let's go in, let's force this ult. Well, guess what happens when the invisible boundary goes up? You get really slow. You get really, really slow. And they lost that pick and it just set up this chain reaction to where then their ult economy was gone. They were stuck in this downward pressure. I mean, overall for All Business, it just felt like going back to a flyer heavy comp for them. Did not work out.
You had it figured out in game 3. You went away from that with your bans and protects, and you got bit for it. Well done. Qadsiah on the other side of this fight, we will see All Business sent packing. This team is moving into our championship matchup where $1,000 is on the line. ZP, could you pick one MVP? I was looking at Tilt having pop-off performances. I saw Helis throughout the game, of course, on the torch. Milk Boy and Kaya staying so stable on the ground. What did you like?
I mean, all in all, it was a team effort. I honestly, I'll say this, even though I don't think it's going to get MVP, I thought Kaya, just the difference Vanguard-wise, being able to play a good Captain America for a huge portion of this game, was a big reason for Qadsiah just getting ahead in strategist ult trades. But it's really hard to ignore just how good Helis was, consistently getting high value off the Human Torch, clean pickoffs in the head-to-head, and just getting you everything you need from your Torch player.
Helis on the torch, laying down the damage, dropping 40 eliminations to open things up, 49,000 damage in game 2, and he just kept the numbers rolling with plays like this, Avast.
Yeah, definitely just, I mean, part of this was somewhat of an issue of just not being contested, but definitely understood the role so well here. You're seeing some of these clips just playing around, even in that last round of playing above the top of All Business's head, just making sure they can come past, drop a ton of damage on those chokes when they roll on forward, especially for the backlines. Helis consistently being a threat this entire series and pretty much hitting all the shots, putting all the pressure that you need to as a Human Torch player.
ZP, what is separating the torches from each other? Because you kind of mentioned it on the last show. It used to be all about the hella difference. Now it may be the flyer difference.
I think for Torch, a lot of it is not only your mechanical skill and your ability to just land your shots, with the highest efficiency possible, but also the ability to know when it's time to go in, when to use your Meteor Strike to dive in and secure an advantage, and also when to back out. Survivability is huge, and you're not having a presence as Torch if you get picked off, so you have to balance how aggressive you can be at all times without getting yourself killed in the process, and Helis was able to ride that line all series long in a really effective manner.
We got a Tanuki fan saying if Tanuki was in this game, Torch would be cooked. Next time, buddy, as we look for more challengers to enter the EU battles tonight. It's Al moving forward. We got to talk a little bit about this team, Avast. They've taken a map from Virtus Pro. You're about to play Virtus Pro in a best of 5. What was their greatest strength as a unit?
I mean, overall right now, their greatest strength looks like they look really consistent with the dives. I think ZP touched on it earlier. Kaya on the Captain America, getting a lot of value actually from the Liberty Rush, using it as sort of almost a pseudo strategist ult where you can come in, everyone gets value from the speed boost, you get to keep everyone up. So that's something that also kind of separates some of these better teams. It's not just the value you get out of your flyers, but when you're running Captain America in particular, are you getting the max value out of his kit, out of his ult, in terms of setting up dives and even just keeping your players alive using things like his ult and his shield? And they were doing a really good job of that.
It's time to go to a break. When we come back, we got more games. ZP, who else is playing in Europe tonight?
Of course, it's going to be VP. It's been no one else. VP is the final boss of Europe. They are undefeated here at Rivals Fight Night. They're the kings of Europe, arguably the best team in the world. And if you stay tuned, you get to see them in just a few minutes.
You want to learn the meta? Stay tuned. It's Rivals Fight Night Avasted ZP featuring the greatest players from Europe playing your favorite game. We'll be right back. Don't go in the hole. Don't do it, Luna. Don't you touch the hole. Don't go through it. Don't do it. It's not worth. Just stay back here. It's way safer. Oh no, the roots were. You didn't go through the hole. You're never going through the hole now. Game over.